Welcome to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green, the show where great dentistry meets great business. Listen in each week as we bring you an inspiring person who will share their story, ideas and business techniques to help you create a practice and a life you love. And now introducing your host, Dr. Jesse Green.
Hi everyone, it's Jesse Green here. Welcome back to SavvyDentist.com and to the Savvy Dentist podcast. Now, before I introduce my next guest, just a short little note to let you know that if you are a dental practice owner and you want to find out more about how to run a practice, how to create a life, head across to our free Facebook group, Savvy Dentist. You can head across there by going to drjessegreen.com/Facebook and you'll find the group there. So if you're a practice owner and you want to learn more about business, how to create a great practice, come and join us. We'd love to share some tips and tools and trainings there with you. That way you can get the best of that. Now, my guest today is someone who's really interesting. Jim Bostock is a former elite mixed martial artist. He's a physiotherapist by profession, and he's got an incredible pedigree when it comes to treating pain, to treating voice issues, and he's worked with some of the best in the industry. He's worked with Guy Sebastian, Tina Arena, Anthony Robbins, Keith Urban, Jessica Mauboy, and a heap more. But what's also really interesting, I find, about Jim is he's got an incredible business and an incredible story around his business that I think is going to be compelling listening to our audience here as well. So, Jim, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and hang with us. How are you, mate?
Awesome, Jesse. Loved it. Loved that intro. Yeah. What a great concept you've got going on here. I love it. Yeah. So helpful.
Oh, well, thank you, mate. And look, I really appreciate the work that you do, because the work that you do in your practice is phenomenal in terms of treating pain, treating voice issues and so on. Before we get started, mate, I'm always curious to ask about people's backstory, because obviously life is not a linear process.
Absolutely.
Lots of twists, lots of turns.
Yeah.
I'm curious to ask if you could just share a little bit about your background and how you got to this point, and then describe a little bit about what your practice looks like now.
Awesome. I've been in private practice now for nearly 20 years. Started my journey as a junior physiotherapist, and then fortunate, met some cool people, then come do some Olympic team stuff. So elite sporting teams. Had to become a specialist in the area of something to do that. So went and got more degrees. So now considered a specialist in musculoskeletal pain. So got all that, but I was a very frustrated young physio. I wasn't helping people, I felt. I was good at telling people to keep coming back and getting treatment, but I wasn't helping anyone. I discovered I have a little OCD, which allows me to keep calling people, and emails were just coming into play at the time, and just kept checking on, how are you going? What's happened? And months, weeks, years later, and I always discovered people were not getting better with what I was doing, and they were just being nice and saying, hey, we like you, we'll just come see you, but thanks for your effort. So frustrated, dejected, I decided, nope, can't do that. I hate this idea and concept that we are specialists and yet we can't help people get better. So I went overseas, met some very cool people, healers, amazing healers in their area, asked a lot of questions about their bodies. Why does the body do this, and why can't things get better when everything medically is beautiful? Came back, I learned some cool techniques in America and France that allows the neuromuscular system to be treated in a very contradictive way to what we're taught here in Australia, considered the best in the world. So manual therapy, I started that. Then dry needling came out. Acupuncture came out in Australia, in early 2000s. I dived into acupuncture and dry needling to see what that was about. Really awesome. Trigger point therapy, amazing. So hence dry needling is everywhere today. But it wasn't still doing the job for me. The people I was seeing were not getting better for some reason, even with these treatments. I thought, man, do I just suck at this? I thought I had something going on here, but nope. But, my mom always told me that, if things are a bit hard and dark, you just do little steps and you just keep persisting forward. So I decided, stuff this, I'm going back to the anatomy books and I'm studying the anatomy harder, and I found another way of needling. So a different gauge needle. I decided to call them nerve locks because I felt the nerves were locked. Medically, everything was beautiful. Investigations, beautiful. Why was this pain, dysfunction, weakness, weird sensations? Why is it around? I felt the nerve was not happy, and I could feel something under my fingers. Maybe that was my gift. And I decided to play around. Weekends, after hours, I treated everyone. I just called and asked, I won't charge you. Please come in. I'm treating you. And especially the ones who weren't getting better, kept learning, putting notes down, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Now we did some fun numbers the other night, about over 70,000 patients that I've trial and errored over. Poor buggers. And I have officially now have my own textbook of nerve locks. And I called it the Bostock needle technique. And this is what I'm known for in Brisbane, around the world, for this needling thing that this guy does, the needle guy, then the voodoo man, or I've been called in the CrossFit world, all these different various names, but I'm the needle guy. And it causes amazing changes for pain. People who've lasted so long with unbelievable pain. The things that I see in my office every day just blows me away. It's crazy. Even today, I had a guy who was a copper.
Yeah.
He had this pain, a rod of pain down his right side of his back. He couldn't lie on his back for 4 years.
Wow.
He just couldn't. And I'm like, why? Every time I lie on my back, this pain locks in and it makes me scream. I sweat. And I've been through everything. Scans are beautiful. I've seen 3 surgeons. They're like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're crazy. I've had massage, physio, osteo, chiro is constantly at me. Nothing's changing. I can't believe it. What is going on? He had 4 nerve locks sitting in that area. Reset, reset, reset. He was lying on the floor today for half an hour, no problems. And he'll be okay in the next 6 weeks. Mate, that's a nerve lock. And nerve locks also exist in the voice. That's why I do the voice thing, I discovered.
So I mentioned off air, Jim, there's so many threads of conversation I'd like to pick up with you.
Yeah.
Some clinical, some around the business that you've built. And I just want to ask you around the paradigm. You mentioned to me that you obviously studied abroad in America and in France. And you found new and interesting ways to treat things and effective ways to be able to treat things. I want to ask you, because that's kind of going up against the status quo. It's challenging the establishment a little bit. What was that process like?
I was fearful.
Yeah.
We were trained to think this way for so long, 11 years of study. All my mentors are saying, no, you can't do that. You have to be very careful. I went to the board and said, will I still be insured if I tried something different? And they said, as long as you stick to these boundaries, you're safe. I stuck to the boundaries and I created a new concept. And it was very scary, but I knew if I could do this and just kept persisting, I could create a different pathway for humans to go down for their pains and voice. Yeah. And lucky for me, maybe hit a piece of wood on my head right now. It worked.
Well, I don't know if there's much luck in there, mate. I think there's a lot of study, a lot of hours, a lot of travel, a lot of learning, a lot of everything.
Oh, amen, brother.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that. Yep.
What's that expression? The harder I work, the luckier I get.
Oh, yes.
Something along those lines anyway. I wanted to ask you, though, because, the health sciences are a fairly conservative world.
Absolutely.
And, new ideas aren't always embraced readily. You could have the best idea and, for whatever reason, it's not embraced. So I wanted to ask you, has your new needling technique been picked up by others? Has it made its way into mainstream physio?
No. I've been asked. I've been challenged. I've had, people come at me saying, you got to be careful. But I've always stuck to the rules. And no, not yet. I've been asked many times, of course, to come to the universities and let's do it. Because I could literally walk up to the medical board today and say, I have taken 10 diagnoses that we have known for the last 100 years that are not right anymore.
Yeah.
The scrutiny, the studies that'll have to back me up for that, and all that comes with it, of course. As you just said, it's a conservative space. We don't, who am I to come and say, hey? But it's something that we are thinking about. But at this point in my life, I wanted to focus more on my energy of helping people get better. I'm a clinician. I'm not a researcher. I'm not an academic.
Yeah.
I go by feel. I felt my mission was more to just help people, as many of them as I can, and also be with my family and be balanced.
Yeah, well, I think every profession and every generation, it's great to have people that think outside the box and to think differently and to ask those questions again. Why is this not working? we've been doing this for so long, but we're accepting mediocre results or no results, and maybe there's got to be a better way. So I always really appreciate people who just kind of dare to go out on a limb and think differently and try things. So I think it's wonderful. I do want to talk to you a little bit about your practice, because we spoke off air. You've got the Bostock Institute, and I'm curious to ask about personal branding versus business branding, and where you see, your business model and how that's evolved compared to the traditional practice model, compared to multi-practice models. Can you just walk me through what your current business model looks like and why you chose to go down that path?
It came back simply down to keeping less cogs moving. For me, the more things that resisted, for me, didn't make sense. So I wanted to keep a practice that's very simple. I do this is the result. And I wanted to focus on that more, because that was what drove the business. I get people better very quickly. 1 to 2 sessions and it's done. I charge for the value. So I charge $500 an hour now. And that's worked beautifully for me. I could do 1,000. It'll still work, because I have this model of, if I stick to this should be a very good result. The business around it just goes off at that. And I don't even have to, lucky for me, I don't have to do any marketing beyond that, because people just say, okay, you're seeing my mum, my friend, my this, my that. So I'm always booked out because of that. It doesn't make sense with the old business model where you have to keep seeing people. That's the theory. But I wanted to change that. I said, if you get people better, you won't have to convince them to come back.
Exactly.
If that makes sense, right?
Totally.
And that's a lot of my friends who was like, you're kidding. You're charging that, number one. Number two, you're getting away with it. And how are you busy? How are you always booked out? Well, it's because if you get someone better, people will tell others. It's very simple.
Amazing, right?
It's it's not, you can be a nice guy or a girl for sure. She's beautiful, she's great, or he's great, but I'm still in pain. Well, it's not as convincing as, all right, that guy's the Bible, go see him.
Yeah.
He's Jesus, whatever, right? So I kept to that model. And the Institute theory was because I wanted to collaborate with cool people around the world, and here I can refer people to that will get the best value for them for their personal pathway journey to getting better. So it's not like you'll see everyone in my practice. No, I didn't want staff. I didn't want to manage other people. So that was another resistance clog that I wanted to remove, which even though I was told that's the best business model, I said, no, the simplicity is the business model for me. Less is better. Bigger is not better. If that makes sense.
It makes total sense. And I'd like to just talk about that, because, in today's world of scale and grow and leverage, simplicity, we talk about simplify a lot in the work that we do as well, and just focus on some fundamentals. So I wanted to ask you about your philosophy around a simplified life, a simplified business. What does that mean to you?
For me, it's how much stimulation I'm getting in my brain. So all the clutter in my brain, the more I can reduce that to a homeostasis level, for me, I know my body functions in that homeostasis zone, for me, I call it, the better. So the more I have to think about in a business, for me, it didn't work. Someone like Ronsley, someone like Jordan, someone like yourself, perhaps, Tony Robbins, hey, great. It works for them.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't want to be somebody that I'm not. And more importantly for me, the lessons I've learned from the thousands of people that I've met, the best of the best to everyone, doesn't matter. My love of my family, because I'm a family man now, my joys in life, as well as my work, must be equal with the effort and energy I put into my work. So just trying to balance all that out, essentially move my ego out of play. And then I based it off that. Is how much clutter's in my head. It's really silly, but the more I have to think about, the more stressed I am. And the more stressed I am, I won't do my work very well.
No, it makes actually perfect sense. And it's a bit like, I know this is a metaphor that may or may not translate so obviously, but, you hear about Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah.
And obviously he runs a very complex business.
Very.
But the way he gets his simplification is he wears the same thing to work every single day. You know,
Yes.
that's one less decision that he needs to make. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to wear whatever he wears, right?
Yeah.
And so I think what I'm understanding from you is thinking I've got a certain amount of bandwidth.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, utilize that bandwidth with a specific intent. And I'm going to use that energy, that focus, that whatever for the purpose that I want to use it for without it being derailed by anything else. Is that basically
Absolutely.
it?
Amazing. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Stay within that boundary, that bandwidth. Yeah. Because I know my work then is amazing. I love treating people. My energy is strong to help them. The results are there. So the referrals come from that. I tried the business model of scaling. I became so stressed within myself. I wasn't doing my work very well. So back to that original plan, it wasn't working. And my patients weren't getting better the way I thought they should again. And that frustrated me further. So stressed energy was growing. Didn't need that. I was having less sex with my wife because we weren't connected as well.
Yeah.
And that was not good for me because my relationship is the number one in my life.
Yep.
So yeah, I had to rework that awesome book, Rework. Change my vision and you simplify again and stay within a place. Because I know structurally, energetically, all my cells love staying in that zone. If I'm out of it, I'm getting older faster. I won't be treating people when I'm 90.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I had the opportunity to talk to Dr. John DeMartini recently.
Yeah.
Who you'd know. And he was talking about, the values that he has and really eliminating everything that wasn't in alignment with those values. And again, what I'm hearing from you again is exactly that elimination of things that don't fit with your vision and your values.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I've got a couple of questions. With respect to your business model, I'll come back to your day-to-day in a moment, but with respect to your business model, obviously, it relies somewhat on you being the expert in your field, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
Having that expert status. So I want to ask, because there'll be people listening to this who have a degree of expertise, and they may have a skill set like yours that is quite unique. And how did you go about building that expert status? How did you go about, maybe it was by design, maybe it was by happenstance, but what did you do to communicate that expert status? How did you develop it? How did you communicate it?
Firstly was, yes, you said, just by producing results. The word got out. When I started the voice thing, who am I? I'm not a laryngologist. I'm not a speech pathologist of any kind. I know the anatomy of the voice. That's it. But the results. So that was one. So I was just lucky. Yep. I got the results came through and it said, yep, you're now this person. Secondly, social media was wonderful. I just went on and I still am always trying to be as raw and real as possible. I try to make sure people see me as being honest, forward, clear. That's it. I've been busted a few times because I said things that I shouldn't have because, again, I'm trying to be real. So that worked well. I went into social media with the intent of not growing numbers. I went in with saying, I want you to believe what I'm saying. So that was the intent and that worked. That's it. I kept it really simple. Results and social media. There is a downfall to being the technician, as you'd understand. If I hurt myself, it's game over.
Yeah.
So then if the universe, the nature says, Jim, it's time for you to break a finger.
Yep.
Sorry, mate, let's change course. Then hopefully my brain's still intact and we can do something else.
Yeah. And that's where you get to leverage your method and so on.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. But the intent is always there. I know my purpose. I love Simon Sinek.
Start with why.
Find your why, start with why. And Tim Ferriss, I had a pleasure of meeting Tim, talking to him and I now understand why I do what I do, which is, I think, the number one for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a janitor or you're a bus driver, you're an entrepreneur, you're a billionaire business owner. It doesn't matter. If you know your why, oh man, life is so much better when you work.
It's like all the dials line up, don't they? Everything kind of clicks into place.
Yeah. And I don't have to be in this space to do what I really am here, I believe, on this planet to do.
No, you could be
so
anywhere.
If I cut myself tonight chopping an onion, my finger's gone, then, well, I still know.
Yeah, exactly. And you can still extend your reach and help lots of people.
Exactly.
So I wanted to ask you...
one more thing. Sorry. I always go by this too. Why stop? So there's this notion amongst, maybe the new generation's different, but certainly I'm 40 now, but our generation and older, you must retire. You must do the work, create all your wealth and retire. For me, wealth is living the way you want to live, happily, full of energy. You can have sex when you're 90. You can jump, swim, dance in the older ages until the day, you have to go.
Yeah.
That's, to me, is wealth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a life well lived, that's for sure. So I want to ask you about habits and rituals and routines because I'm looking at you now. You're a picture of health. You're a picture of vitality. And
thank you, man.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Thanks,
look, we are recording this as an audio thing, but obviously we're doing this video, and just over your shoulder is your skeleton, who looks a little less healthy than you, of course.
I haven't fed slim enough.
Yes, Slim's on a diet. He's on
intermittent fasting.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they call skipping breakfast, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
it. Anyway, so I wanted to ask you about rituals because I imagine, like you, if you're living with such purpose, such focus, what are the rituals that you observe? What are the things that keep you on track? What are the things that keep you, focused on where you're going?
Clinico has been amazing. My brain is always up creating in my mind and seeing things and so on. I'll be honest, the best is my relationship.
Okay.
Because my wife's involved in the business and a few other people, but her brain, so your business partners.
Yep.
Her brain is what I need. She's a structured, analytical, managerial brain.
Mm-hmm.
She gets things done. She puts things in order. So if your brain, and again, moving ego aside, I know I'm not that. So I'm not going to try to be that.
No.
As Richard Branson always says, stick to what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
I'm good at this. And work with good people around you to help thrive in your area and they thrive in their area.
Yep.
So yeah, she thrives in her area. So a great teammate, 100%.
Yep.
And thank God she's my love of my life too. So it just really works well together. So that's number one. Number two, I always do breathwork and meditation, as many do, but I keep it really short. I don't do the long ones because I'm a dad. I want to be present for my kids and all the joys that comes with that. Yeah, really short, self-hypnotic, meditative breathwork, thinking, feeling, breathing, believing, quick. So I put it in my day where, especially at days when you're having a lot of doubts, I have a routine. So in the morning with my morning coffee, I'm always doing 6 breaths and I visualize love energy, which works for me. And then I feel every cell breath of that. And then certain points during the day, I do a stretching routine. When I do it, it attaches my brain to the purpose I'm here, the energy that I'm trying to create within myself for others, all that jazz.
Cool.
So yeah, little habits during the day.
Yeah, lovely. I'm curious to ask about your breath work.
Yeah.
Where did you learn your breath work?
I started with Tony.
And then Dan Brulé?
Dan Brulé is Tony's coach. Yep. I had a fortune of meeting Wim Hof.
Yeah, Wim. Yep.
And actually my youngest brother, Richie Bostock, is now the breath guy in London.
Nice. So we've got another Bostock method happening.
Another Bostock. Yeah, he's done the breath work for his area's breath work. So he's now revolutionizing breath work his way in London, and he's become quite a big thing over there. And so he's taught me a lot. I've done a lot of breathwork sessions with him. But to be honest, I learned from just all the great minds. I love Joe Dispenza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
great.
I incorporated his work as well. So I combined everyone's recipes, parts of their recipes together to what works for my brain and body.
Yep.
And yeah, I do no more than 2 to 6 minutes.
Yep.
3 times a day.
Nice. Love it.
Always exercise every day.
Yep.
Always jump in cold water 3 times a week.
Yep. Man, I'm trying. I live in Canberra, right? Today it is 5 degrees, and we're recording.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, we're recording this on the 25th of September, and it's 5 degrees outside today. And I can tell you,
Lord.
I know it's crazy. We've gone back into winter, but the cold bath thing, I have to tell you, I'm so keen to do it. And every time I get ready to get in the bath, I go, oh.
No.
I've got to get there. I've got to get there.
No. Cold shower, yeah. Cold shower is as good. It just needs to go over your head and your face.
Yeah. I have to say, when I've done the cold work, though, I have to tell you, I have experienced something that it sounds really weird if I say this out loud. So, ladies and gents, don't think this sounds weird. It sounds weird, but it was fantastic. I experienced the most unbelievable mental clarity that I've never experienced before.
Amen, brother.
Have you experienced that too?
Yeah.
It was
especially having babies. Going through the no sleep state.
Yeah, exactly. Phenomenal. Yeah. That's why I'm so keen to kind of get back into it. So I do want to ask you, because you have studied and met and interacted with some, really wonderful people. You mentioned Tim Ferriss, you mentioned Tony Robbins, you've mentioned, Jordan Harbinger and others. I'm curious to ask, what have you learned along the way from those people that has impacted your life? I know there'll be lots of things, but a couple of salient things.
What makes them freaks, in my opinion, is they just know human beings. It's just innate, built in. So, you have a gift. You have a gift with your voice, without a doubt. And Jordan has a gift at sitting down in front of someone or across the screen and just saying, hey, what's up? He feels them. They feel him. Conversation's on. It was remarkable when just sitting down with them, you go, wow. And I was treating them, obviously, so I can feel them through my hands. But they just have this, gift. It's a gift. Hey, what else can you say? They're freaks. But another thing I always do see is they know who they are, not what podcasts and books and people have taught. They know who they are. And they could sit there for hours and just tell you the same story. It's amazing. They just know. Like Ronsley, he knows.
Yeah, Rons does.
Yeah, he just knows who he is and what he's put on this planet for. I think that is the secret juice, to be honest. Like,
it gives a lot of energy to what you do, doesn't it?
Nobody can criticize you, even if they do.
Doesn't matter.
It's like, oh, sorry you feel that way.
Yeah.
I hope you find know who you are.
Yeah.
Juice.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to shift gear for a second because, as I said to you in the intro, I feel a bit voyeuristic because you have treated, in the work that you do, you've treated some big names.
Yep.
You've treated, Tony Robbins and Jordan and Keith Urban and Jessica Mauboy. Can you tell me what causes? I don't want to kind of get into the clinical stuff too much, but just if someone like that, I mean, there's phenomenally successful people, Guy Sebastian and others. What does a voice lock present like? So
for singers, it's Jim, I'm struggling to sing like I normally do. I'm not in my zone. I can't get my notes. I feel warming up requires extra long warm-ups.
Yeah.
My voice, I can feel is swelling up all the time. I'm developing vocal soft tissue, swelling, scarring, granulation tissues in my vocal cords or vocal folds. Like Troy and Keith, post-surgery, they actually had the hardened polyp or nodules they had removed, but the voice was just the nervous system just wasn't coming back. Just what didn't feel right to them. And singers, as you know their voice.
Of course they do.
It's like that's just part of me. It's my soul. I know this, and it's not the same. I'm scared. I'm frightened. I'm anxious. I'm not sleeping. And the worry fuels the vagus nerve, which is the main nerve, which is 80% emotional, in my opinion. It fuels their voice to get worse. So the nerve lock treatment resets that completely. Yep. And the confidence that comes back is the number one.
Yeah.
You can just see the shift in their energy. They go, oh my gosh. And then it's done.
Yeah, cool.
But the reset to the nerve locks is insane.
So I want to ask you about working with those big names. Of course, you've built your expert status. We're coming back to what we were talking about earlier. You've built that. You've marketed that to an extent, although mainly word of mouth.
Yes, mainly word of mouth. Yeah.
What's it feel like when you've got Keith Urban in your appointment book? Oh,
mate, that guy's a good-looking dude.
Yeah,
he is a good-looking man.
He is a good-looking man, and he seems like a nice dude too. Is he as good? Is he as good a bloke as he seems? He seems like a really nice man.
I have yeah. The best. First off, to give me the time. Who are you, man?
Yeah.
Give me the time. Number one, give me advice on this industry.
Yeah.
In that time we shared lunch. He said, have some lunch with me. Like, come on, mate. You don't know me from a bar of soap. And so that guy is seriously, genuinely a good bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Genuinely a good bloke.
Is there? So the reason I'm asking this question is because when you get that expert status and you start attracting those people to your practice, I know for some people that would lead to a certain sense of anxiety and perhaps even a bit of self-sabotage.
Yes, absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you how, or if you experienced any of that, and if you did, how did you work through that?
The self-hypnotic meditation work that I actually implemented that when I met Tony Robbins, and I was freaked out, of course. He is a big unit, very intimidating, masculine energy. When I met him, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to crawl into a hole. This guy is huge and he is menacing.
Yeah.
But I stuck to my guns on what I knew as a technician. So that's how I focused there. But he taught me how to breathe and, whenever you meet or you're in a situation where stress is building, you're doubting, then you take your habits that you've created by practicing, you must practice, you bring that to the front. And so for me, 6 breaths, I become Superman. I created a cartoon character.
Yep.
I'm Superman when I walk through my doors. And I've practiced so much. Now when I meet someone like Keith, I take 1 breath when I'm nervous and I'm now Superman.
Got it. It's a bit like slipping into an alter ego.
You got it.
Yeah.
Childlike characters are amazing because as kids, our limbic brains, creative strength is so cool and so healing.
Well, it's really interesting that you talk about that because I was listening to some with a guy called Todd Herman, and you probably know Todd, and he's written his book called Alter Ego, and in his book he talks a lot about really successful sports people.
Yes.
When they cross the sideline and go onto the field to play football or whatever they're playing, they become someone else.
Someone else. Yep.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. So again, ladies and gents, if you're listening to this and you want to have that expert status and you want to attract those high-profile patients or clients, whatever you want to call them, then being able to manage that state is going to be important as part of that journey, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. Superman worked for me.
Yep, perfect.
Because Superman doesn't worry about criticism. Things bounce off him. He has a healing power. He has powers, all that jazz. So I just related to that. And also, I breathe and visualize everyone still stinks. Everyone still goes to the toilet.
Yeah.
Everyone still has bowel problems. No matter who you are.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like the old thing, isn't it? When you're doing your public speaking, imagine the audience naked kind of routine.
Sitting on the toilet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It actually does work. I did it when I met Tony for the first time. I'm like, this guy doesn't smell. He doesn't stink. I'm like,
no, what am I going to
do? I'm going to pretend he does.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend he does. I'm just going to picture him on the throne. That's hilarious. That's awesome. Hey, Jim, you've been really generous with your time today, mate. I really appreciate that. Just as we wrap up.
Thank you.
You're really welcome. It's been my pleasure to have you, and I'm really excited because there's so many things that we could talk about, but we've covered a fair bit. But as we wrap up, if there's anything you really wanted to leave the audience with, remembering we've got dental practice owners, they're going about their business, doing the things that they do, what are the key messages that you think you'd like to leave them with?
Well, I can only say from my experience, and again, comes down to your own journey, what you feel is right for you. I always say to everyone, do what feels right, not what anyone tells you. Do what feels right to you for the people around you that you love. Because when you die, loved ones are the number one that you'll miss. And you'll go, damn it. That's the number one that I've seen in crazy people when they've learned their lessons the hard way.
Yeah.
And in business ultimately at the end of the day should give you the rewards that you feel is right for your body. I say listen to your body. Not your ego brain. Our ego brain will always put more in, especially if we scroll through Instagram. we just go, shit, we could do that. We could do that. We could do that. We could do that. Oh man, that would be so cool. I want to drive that car. I want to have that house. But if you do what feels right to your body will tell you you're on track.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't listen enough to their body, especially people in pain. It gets more confusing. But if you listen to your body, you'll know that you're in the right place. You're on the right path. You'll deviate off it, of course, but then always try and come back to feeling good inside you again. Whatever choices you make in business, whatever money you want to make. Again, Tony's taught me this. The more money you make, it really doesn't change.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It only makes you worse. Sorry, it makes whoever you are worse.
Okay.
So if you're an idiot, it just makes you more of an idiot. But if you're genuinely a good person, it makes you more of a good person.
Yeah. It
or gives you the opportunities to be one.
Yeah.
I always see it like that. And you can always make money forever.
Yeah.
Don't worry about having to make money tomorrow.
Yeah.
Money should never be a factor, even though it's lovely. It's really nice to have it, but drive your business from your real self.
I love
and
it.
I've always focused on people. People are business. They're the reason why you have business. But for the health profession, I really feel if you focus on the people and what they want, people just want to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Focus on what they want. You'll never lose.
Love it. Jim, once again, mate, you've been really generous with your time. I'm very, very grateful to you for taking the time out of your day up there in Brisbane and introducing us to Slim as well along the way. Mate,
he loves it.
He does. He's looking happy. He's got a smile. We probably need to look at his occlusion, but yeah, we can talk about that another podcast. Mate, once again, you've been an absolute gem. I appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully we can catch up next time I'm up in Brisbane.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of you now, Jesse. I was reading through all your stuff. I'm like, damn, such a great idea. So good.
Thank you,
I'm really, really glad to have met you, and thank you. And you have an awesome voice.
Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. You're a very nice man. All right, well, have a good day, mate, and we'll catch up shortly. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green. For more free tools and resources, join the free Facebook group. Visit drjessegreen.com/Facebook. And for more episodes, visit drjessegreen.com/savvydentist.